I did. My mom was an artist. She taught me how to draw. I've never taken any art classes or anything. I just, taught myself. But the good thing about newspaper comic strips, it's not really the art that's important.
Right.
Pretty much anyone, as long as you could learn to draw recognizable characters, you could be a cartoonist as long as the writing is there. It's the writing that's really important.
Right. Now let's see. You have here a friend that you go all the way back.
Yeah.
Richie Banda. You guys go all the way back to UC Berkeley, right?
Yeah, he lived next door.
Yes,
in the dorms.
Yes, we were actually on the same floor at Unit 2 and
Unit 1.
Yeah, Unit 1 back at Cal, and if anything, he was already at the time.
Was he already a well-known cartoonist? Did everybody know this guy is gonna make it? Was he in the album that the guy who's gonna be the most successful?
People told me that, but I mean, who's gonna? Because they saw me drawing cartoons,
right.
So they'd all say, "Yeah, oh, you're gonna be in all these papers." But I mean, who's gonna come up to you and say, "Oh, you're just wasting your time"? That's a normal thing for people to say.
Right.
But it was cool the fact that whenever we picked up Daily Cal, we could always say, "Hey, that's from our guy down the hall."
Right.
He was like the only one who did that, by the way.
You're too humble.
Well, no. When I was first published in the Daily Cal, that's UC Berkeley's student paper.
Right.
That first day, I walked through campus kind of cocky, and I thought, my cartoons there, people are gonna look at me and say, "You look like exactly how I would imagine the guy who drew that cartoon is. You must be him."
Really?
Well, I imagined I would get recognized somehow.
Right.
No, nobody noticed.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, look at this face, because he is getting bigger and bigger every time. Now let's see, your first cartoon, going back 10 years ago, there is a main character named Lamont Brown.
It actually goes back to 93.
93? Oh, my God, okay. But you used to look very young.
Thank you.
Lamont Brown, was that you?
Basically, it's a cross between me and Theo Huxtable from The Cosby Show.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I see. So Lamont Brown was Stanford and Sons.
Yeah, well, when I was coming up with the characters, I wanted names that might resonate with people. Sanford and Son was pretty big, at least in my neighborhood. So I figured Lamont, that's the name of the son.
Right.
As far as comics went, Charlie Brown was the biggest thing ever. So Brown was the last name, so Lamont Brown.
Right.
But yeah, the main character is me, but pretty much all the characters are me. And if you ask any syndicated cartoonist, they'll tell you that each one of their characters is like a different aspect of their personality.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, in that cartoon, there's Roxanne.
Right.
And then there's a girl named Susan.
Mm-hmm.
Lamont Brown ended up marrying Roxanne, even though he didn't really care for her because
he's not married yet. He's engaged to her.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, he didn't really care for her, but they had a one-night stand, which, 10 months later, she showed up and
pregnant.
She introduced him to her 1-month-old child.
Oh, my goodness.
This is 10 months later. So
right.
Lamont put 2 and 2 together and fainted, hit his head for a few months. He had amnesia. And when he came to, he realized, all right, I have a kid. This is my chance to be a better father than my dad was.
Right.
Lamont doesn't know his father. I mean, that's one of the major themes of the comic strip.
Right.
The fact that so many people of our generation don't know their fathers, or their fathers left when they were young.
Right.
And they didn't have the benefit of being raised by them. So Lamont wanted to do better. So he decided to marry the woman.
Oh,
Only
okay.
he found out a little bit later she turns out to be a vampire who's trying to destroy the world.
Okay, explain vampire. Usually women are like the B and the H, right? This is vampire, okay. Like what?
Well, I initially she was just so rotten.
Oh, really?
That people would write in demanding that I kill her off.
Oh, really?
But I loved Roxanne. I wanted to keep her around, so I figured, how could I do that if all my readers despise her? So I figured, I'll make her a vampire, literally. She's a vampire. And as vampires go, she's actually quite nice. She's one of the good ones.
Well, how about your other character, Susan?
Susan is...
You were like... you had this... What do you call it? Unrequited love for Susan, or the two of you?
They have a requited
love.
love.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right.
Both of them are unrequiting each other.
Okay.
And because neither one of them has ever had the courage to come out and, be straightforward and say what they want. They're too worried about ruining their friendship.
Oh, okay.
They've known each other all their lives too, so they're, sort of like brother and sister, which would make it weird.
Oh, I see. And then your mother taught you how to draw at 3 years old, huh?
Yeah.
She was an artist. She's still alive?
She's still alive.
Okay, she's an artist herself.
She was an artist. She was in college when I was born. She used to take me to her art classes with her, and they'd sit me in the corner on a blanket with, an easel and some paints and stuff, and, they discovered I had a talent for it, so my mom encouraged it. So while most moms were telling their kids not to draw on the walls, my mom was encouraging it all the time. And so she's all the education, she's all the art education I ever had.
Oh, excellent. We'll try to... you have a lot of work, and you have a book here called Katrina's Ghost. And we'll see if we can show this book here.
That's the...
Now, talk about Katrina's...
That's the third Canterville collection.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, talk about it.
Well, the reason it's called Katrina's Ghost is because in this book, this book contains the storyline that I drew as Hurricane Katrina was happening. Yeah. Before Hurricane Katrina, my longest storylines were always maybe like 3 or 4 comics. And then, I don't know his name. He wasn't crying anything. He had been on the roof of his building, and the flood waters were rising. And he was holding on to his wife, and his wife was slipping out of his grasp. And the last thing she said to him was, "Take care of the children." And then he lost her, and he watched her float away and never saw her again. And this man was on the news all day, of what was going on, and the sight of black bodies floating through the city, and black bodies lying on the streets unburied and untouched and uncovered. And for me personally, I was not so much inspired as like possessed by what was going on, and I sat down and I wrote a 2-month-long storyline. I'd never done anything that long before. I wrote a 2-month-long storyline. I drew it the next day. I turned it into the syndicate, and they told me, if you do something this long, you're going to lose a lot of readers. Right. Because people aren't going to pay attention to this for 2 months. Right. And I said, I don't care. I don't care if I'm left with 1 reader at the end of it. I want you to run this. Right. So they ran it. We didn't lose any papers. People loved the storyline. It resonated